Okay, YouTubers, what's up? What's up? This is your guy again, Mr. Evaluator. So, what I'm going to really pretty much be doing is I am going to scale. Sorry about that in the background. I'm going to literally scale Saitama's full power, okay, and what tier he actually meets. And I'm literally going to pretty much literally get into how him actually literally basically utilize all of his powers. Yeah, how he basically utilized all his powers. And it's not only going to be Saitama, I'm going to also even be power scaling All Might. Okay? So, I want you guys to listen and want you guys to watch and pay very close attention. Okay? This is very important. Please pay attention. Now, to really be honest, personally, a little side note, it was very hard and complicated for me to literally power scale Saitama. Like, it's been like for the past 3 to 4 years since I could not understand Saitama's powers versus what I basically see on him actually doing in the manga and on the actual television. Okay, so it basically tells you from the very beginning, like I said, that you know you can't really stick with the common basis of his power, and you really can't scale any of that when the authors and the people that put his whole anime together never gave you any specifications of how he basically uses his powers and how his powers clearly manifest or any of that, etc. So because all they're saying is he was going to a job interview, fought a crab monster, defend a little girl, trained all those days, and now he got a power. Now he can literally one shot anybody. Okay, so now I kind of went back in and did some more research about Saitama. Okay, I kind of had to take what he basically does at his lower power and pretty much kind of scan him having that capability, put him at the highest tier. So I basically had to literally evaluate the whole concept of Saitama's character. In order to do that, I had to literally, well, not read the whole comment, but basically skim through an entire list of all of his capabilities. And literally the concept of the author that literally what literally basically gave him his power, how they basically wrote him, you see what I'm saying, his story. So I had to really scan his whole story. And so now this is what I came to with Saitama. All the people, of all the people, I pretty much kind of really did struggle with, but no, forget about that. Of all the characters, I kind of really did not have any problem scaling. And really, I kind of had a problem with Trigon from the beginning because his power was immeasurable. So with him, I only had to kind of really stick with the low balls because, like, his power is just like ridiculous, and it's like literally so unreal. So, like, I'm not saying that Trigon was hard. It just had to take me a little more time to stick into the common basis and the primal source of his power. So I finally came to this conclusion. Listen up, guys. Saitama's power is based on whatever scale of power he scales to. Okay? That includes his strength feat, that includes his speed, that even includes his durability. Everything. Okay? So, this includes everything about Saitama. So, with this being said, if Saitama fought somebody on a planetary scale and they were equal to him, he'll literally one shot them. Okay? He'll literally one shot them because Saitama's whole character was to literally one shot all of his opponents throughout the whole universe. Okay, so the whole concept and purpose of Saitama was literally to mean to one punch every villain, every person in his entire universe with no problem. So clearly, out of this concept, Saitama is the strongest character in his whole universe. Now, there has been rumors of them saying that there's going to be somebody else like him and they're going to fight. And, that's just another topic to literally get into. But anyways, Santama's concept and his whole purpose, I'm not using any feats. His whole purpose is to basically one shot everybody in the whole universe, right? In his whole universe. Like the situation with Trigon. You can't scale any power if you don't understand the content and the purpose of the character, especially if there are people like Trigon with immeasurable power and characters like Saitama who really basically doesn't have any specifications on how he basically uses his powers or where his powers even come from. There has been speculations that his power, came from the planet where the monsters really pretty much came from to conquer and the whole universe. But anyways, that's just a little side point. But the point is, whatever scale of power you pretty much put Saitama on, he can literally one shot that person. So that's the whole concept of Saitama. It's pretty much to one shot everybody in this whole universe. Excuse the helicopter. So back to what I was saying. If you literally put Saitama, oh no, I'm good. I'm good. So back to the point. Excuse me, guys. So back to the point with Saitama. Saitama, whatever scale of power you literally put this guy on, he can literally basically one shot that person at that scale of power. And it's pretty obvious that he can actually do that because the whole purpose and concept again of Saitama is literally to one punch any villain and anybody that basically scales next to him or under him. Okay, so just listen very carefully. So on a planetary tier, right, if there's a character that is planetary, just like Saitama, he will literally one shot them. Okay, he'll literally one shot them. Okay, if you put Saitama on a solar system level, right, and because he fights a villain on a solar system level, he will literally one shot the person on a solar system level. Okay, if you put Saitama on a galaxy scale tier, right, and he fights somebody that is galaxy level, because of the purpose of his whole being and his character, like he will one shot that person throughout the galaxy. And it kind of really does seem like it's a gag. It does seem like that he's like a freaking parody character, but I mean, to really be honest, personally, I don't think it is because of the concept of his character. So if you put him on a universal scale, he will one shot that person on a universal scale. Okay? He will literally one shot them on the universal scale. Now I'm going to use feats. And this is, again, how you pretty much utilize them. So Boros was equally, well, I'll just say, was equally strong to Saitama. Okay, Boros did not have the strength to blow up the entire planet because if he did, he would have been planetary. But he's not. He's literally not. I mean, he could overshadow he could conquer an entire planet, but he is not a planetary buster. He can't punch his fist. He can make giant craters in the planet, but it did not mean that Boros was planetary. So, it was pretty obvious that when Saitama was fighting Boros, they were both equally matched. Okay? And this even explains that Saitama was just toying around with this guy the whole doggone fight until he got serious and he one shot at Boros. Okay? So it doesn't mean that Saitama is on a planetary scale and he's fighting somebody at the tier of the solar system. No, he would not one shot them because according to the source material, he has to be on that level of power to even do that. So it even says, according to the source material, Saitama does have power, but he has to grow and he has to literally get stronger. So for those of you fans out there that's saying he has infinite amount of power, he clearly doesn't. Because if he did, that would have seriously been no need to like fight anybody that's equally powerful to him, because it'll be stupid if they said that this guy had infinite amount of power and he basically is fighting somebody that's pretty planetary. I mean, it pretty much looks like a dumb anime. I mean, like even for Superman, for crying out loud. They give him Darkseid and freaking Doomsday to fight, but Superman is a very powerful person, and he can literally hold back on all of his power, every inch of it. But Superman is clearly way OP. He is like Saitama, but the thing is, Superman could literally replicate everything Saitama does. The problem is, Saitama is fast. He is very fast, but Superman can hear. Superman has super hearing and super sight. In this case of scenario, if Superman was to read an entire martial arts book, right, he will literally have every knowledge about martial arts and just every fighting style. Or if he was ever able to literally study Saitama moves, right? Like, he will literally match Saitama while holding back. So let's just say Saitama is on a planetary scale, universal scale fighting Superman. Superman still has super hearing on levels. So if Saitama's gonna literally give Superman a run for his money, he's gonna have to develop more power, which means the author's gonna have to literally give him more abilities and all of this other stuff. But obviously, like, there will literally be no way for him to actually beat Superman, because Superman has super sight, he has super vision, and he has X-ray, so he can literally see through this guy if he really wanted to. Like, they both could fight at light speed, but you know, like, Superman to fight faster than that. He could read all of his movements. Superman. It was even shown that Superman flew around the world and went back in time. And in this case, Saitama would literally be like Doomsday again, and Superman wouldn't have no problem. So he'll literally one shot Saitama because he's way above him. But not meaning to get sidetracked. So whatever scale of power you put Saitama on, this is his whole concept. He could beat you. He could beat that person with one punch. Okay, literally. So this is the entire omniverse of Saitama. Okay, so clearly he is the strongest guy in his universe. So, all in all, Saitama is literally OP because of the concept of his character was literally made to fight and take out everybody in his universe with one punch on every inch and every scale of power. Not on his power level. He can't fight somebody that is galaxy while he's planetary. They're going to be too strong for him. He has to go galaxy. He has to scale throughout the entire galaxy in order to one-shot them. Okay? So, yeah. So, like, he's pretty OP, and I would literally deem him worthy of fighting side by side with Goku. Okay? Because Saitama is definitely in the big league. Okie dokie. Next battle. Now we're talking about All Might. Now, this guy has One for all is infinite. Okay, just for all for you guys to know, one for all is literally infinite. But the problem is that All Might's body is limited. So in this case, a scenario, whatever scale of power, whatever scale of strength feat, well, strength tier, basically, basically All Might goes to, he could basically utilize that power. He could utilize his power. So all of that is based on his strength feat. So because the thing about one for all is a infinite amount of power, and with it being infinite, it all comes out at one time. It all comes out in one blow. I mean, he is fast. This guy is super fast, but the problem is that all of that power is coming out at one time. So, like, All Might has only trained so much to an extent to utilize so much of its power. If you was to literally pass down All for One to, let's say, Chaozu, Chaozu would literally demolish everything in his path, on top of the power he already has. So one Ka Blast, if he releases 100% of his Ka Blast, he probably blow up the entire universe. The same thing applies to Yamcha. But in this scenario, you know, one for all is basically how what your body trains to. This is the amount you use. This even explains that if you don't use the amount you should use, all of that power coming out at one time, basically another feat, broke Midoriya's arm, could break your other arm, break your leg, because it's pretty much like because the power is coming out all at one time. So in order for you to tame this power, you literally have to physically train your body to utilize that amount of power you're using. Even if you use 1% of that power, that 1% will possibly even cause your fingers to break. Okay, the tip of your fingers to break, and we clearly seen this. So clearly, this one all for one, well, yeah, this one for all power was passed down through literal generations, and this power is clearly based on it comes out at one time. So this power is universal, right? I could say that this power is universal, but due to the human having due to the human being literally having limitations. So all of this power is pretty much this shockwave is coming out at one time. Like one for all is this big forge of power that is clearly coming out all at one time, bro. Like all of its infinite power is literally coming out at one time. So whenever All Might like literally swings a punch and his tier is like, city level destruction, he just swung an infinite amount of power at a city level destruction, right? At citywide destruction at the tier, right? But if All Might was to physically train his body, right? If he was to physically train his body to the scale of blowing up an entire planet, then he could pretty much utilize that power. So this power is really based on what the being basically used. So he can even utilize this power not only for strength, but also for speed as well. So if Saitama, well, All Might wants to, he can literally amp his power, this infinite amount of power, to go on a big scale of speed if he wanted to. Now it was shown that, you know, Midoriya, whenever he uses his power, that lightning jumps around him when he activates All for One. So this power pretty much gives you every superhuman ability possible except flight. I mean, you could jump really high with this Joker in you, but at the same time, like, I don't see why this power gives you flight. I'm not sure, but you know, it probably can. You know, you jump real high and fight in the air. But if it did let you fly, you would literally be going on different levels of infinite amount of power. But this is really based on the capability of the user, who basically withholds one for all. And in order for him to literally destroy an entire country or destroy an entire continent, he has to physically train his body to that tier. And does it mean that All Might can train his body to that tier? Well, he actually can, but it's not going to happen in 3 months. It's definitely not going to happen in 6 months. He's going to have to literally train his body for years in order to, you know, one punch to blow out an entire city, or wipe out an entire country, or even bigger than that, or wipe out an entire continent. And you see that, you know, All Might does age. So he's going to have to literally dedicate his full life on basically training his power. But when you clearly see that he really didn't, because he pretty much went grocery shopping and just fighting supervillains that get in the way, he kind of stopped to a point. Okay, so clearly All Might wasn't trying to get any stronger. But having one for all not only helps you, like literally, like you literally have to stretch your power to that ability or amount of power you're going to use, right? Not It's not that you have to stretch yourself to that. Like, it basically enhances your physical strength capabilities. So, like, it pretty much, whatever you stretch your power to, your physical strength to, it stretches in you. So it's almost like one for all is a part of you. Okay? One for all is like literally a part of you. So in this scenario, if All Might was to literally stretch his muscles and like train his physical capabilities to an entire to wiping out an entire continent, he would actually do that. And like, seriously. So like, he would actually do that. He would literally like freaking throw a punch and wipe out an entire continent. Not gonna and on top of that, he will also literally put a gigantic crater so deep in the earth. This one for all power gives him the capability, right, to stand toe to toe and fight Namek level Goku. Literally, this power literally gives him the ability to fight Namek level Goku. Now, every time All Might, Deku break their limits, they're stretching the power. Well, not stretching, they're stretching more of their body parts to utilize the power, which is why, you know, All Might has that ache in his on the side of his rib cage, and one for all in Deku arms fracture when he utilized this power, but he's still able to you know, use his power even with Deku, you know, due to his body limitations, because he can literally use the amount of uh, sparks to blow up an entire city. He could blow up an entire planet if he really wanted to, but it's based on how he pretty much stretch out his power. So obviously, everybody in Madeira and My Hero Academia does have accessibility. Well, at least the power hitters does have accessibility to accessing infinite amount of power. They have that possibility to literally using an infinite amount of their power. But the only reason that they have limitations is because of their bodily capabilities. Their physical capabilities is what literally put these guys on limitations. Like, even if they were immortal, right? Because they haven't stretched their body that far, it literally puts them to limitations. We saw what happened if Todoroki used too much fire and too much heat, or he used too much cold ice. It literally puts his body to stone. Like, literally puts his body in shock if he used too much of that power, which is why he's gonna have to literally train himself, right? So this explains when All Might was fighting Nomu. Nomu was literally made to fight All Might at his full power. Well, as far as the physical capabilities or his limit, his maximum limit at using all for one for all. So when he was struggling fighting Nomu, it was his faith, it was his belief that literally allowed him to amplify his strength. So he utilized a little bit more of his power and clearly basically literally overwhelmed Nomu. Like, literally stumped him dead when he was able to utilize all of that power. Excuse me, coming out at one time. So, like, one for all gave him the accessibility to like literally go in there and use a little bit more of his power. But the reason why he possibly didn't have any aches or nothing broke is because he literally already trained to that power scale. Like, he's already trained his body to use a little bit more just in case he fights a villain that meets him at his full strength. So he kind of trains a little bit more to use a little bit more of his power. So, with that being said, like, all in all, like, the top fighters that will stand and fight with the DBZ characters is literally Saitama and All Might. Okay, like, because, and then you pretty much got Incredible Hulk, but that's just another story. So, whatever scale you clearly put, Saitama, he can pretty much one shot that person that's equal to him, or definitely that's below him, but he can't beat nobody, one shot anybody that's above him. They're too powerful. So, in case you have any questions, so that means he could beat Planetary Goku. Absolutely not. Because Goku still has the accessibility to multiply his powers, even if he's planetary. So let's just say Goku Kai goes at 9,000, like goes up at 8,000, right? So 8,000 will probably take him to punching craters into planets. So the minute he charges his Kai goes up to, let's just say, 1,000, well, like 500 more. So then his Kai reading will be like 8,500. He will be five times his strength in base form. So whenever they charge their Kai, they're basically increasing their Kai. So if their Kai says 8,000, and if their Kai says like 8,000, and 8,000 is strong enough to literally put an entire crater, giant craters through planets, then when he pretty much charges Kai and go to 8,001, that'll be like one times his, the extra strength, the extra crater going into the planet. So if it was 100, it will literally be 100 times more the crater going into the planet. If it was 8,500, then that'll be 500 times more the crater inside the planet. And if he, used Kaioken, then this is what I'll just say for the sake of the conversation before Kaioken. So he'd be like 500 times more the creator going into a planet at every single punch and every single blow. And this pretty much even not only scales the physical strength, but it basically puts the tier at Goku's speed. So no, there will literally be no way for Saitama to actually beat Goku because of the fact that Goku's a Saiyan and he can literally multiply his power at every scale Saitama goes to. So in this case of scenario, at whatever tier you put these guys to fight at, because Goku's a Saiyan and because he can literally multiply his powers, there will be no possible way of Saitama keeping up with him. And he could literally, like, I mean, come on, guys. Like, seriously. Goku is a mastermind. He is a literal god of martial arts. There is not one thing you cannot do that will literally, like, get to Goku. The only time you can literally beat Goku in martial arts, and who basically is a Saiyan, is somebody that is literally above him. Okay, and Brawly was a prime example. So it doesn't matter how much martial arts Goku knows and has done, because Brawly was stronger than him, right? He literally beat Brawly. I mean, Brawly literally pushed Goku like he wasn't nothing. Okay, so in this case, a scenario, there'd be no way for Saitama to beat Goku because whatever scale of power Goku literally they go to fight at, Goku can literally multiply that. So no, that's literally out of the question. So uh another thing, you know, yeah. And as far as any other DBZ character, they could do the same thing as well. But it doesn't mean that they multiply their power whenever they charge their Kai, and like the Kai goes to 8,500. That'll mean like it'll be 5 times, the crater will be 5 times deeper at every punch. So yeah, you know, because they can literally increase their Kai. So their Kai literally too goes into a, multiplier. Because Krillin is not a Saiyan, just to let you know. Krillin is not a Saiyan. When he's literally not a Saiyan. Like when Krillin was going to use like the disco disc or whatever, he literally basically, Vegeta and them literally got amused because like that amount of power could literally affect them. So it doesn't matter what they did at the time, that amount of power could literally affect them and do some severe damage. But if they're stronger than that, then the power would just blow up on them and those guys would be touchless. Like not a single scratch would be on them, you know. So uh as far as saying Tama, like it's just he's in the thing about it, I like to also include him even actually fighting Raiden. You know, Raiden is a thunder god who too can like literally expand his power. Like Raiden will literally be uh Raiden is a thunder god and he can literally predict everything Saitama does. And he has shown that he can literally do this throughout the Mortal Kombat comic and even on the video games. Like sometimes we even know that when Raiden literally fights other people, he holds back severely. Even when he's literally fighting and almost looks like he's giving it his all, he's literally holding back. So in case you got some guys out there, oh well, in Mortal Kombat 9, Shao Kahn gave it to Raiden, and he literally, well, again, Shao Kahn could physically become stronger than any god once he merged the realms inside Mortal Kombat. But that was literally just a video game. He is the god of thunder. Raiden is literally the god of thunder. And the stronger he is, right? Like, he's literally at Earth Realm. Like, being in Earth Realm makes him even stronger. Why? Because he's the protector of Earth Realm. So, probably to any other Earth he pretty much goes to, would actually seriously give him power. But I'm just saying, you know, like, but like this is just a different topic to really talk about, so save that for later. you know um but the thing is, about Raiden is that he's just too fast and he can literally predict every move Saitama does. So we're talking about Saitama and Raiden, but also include Shao Kahn. I'm gonna upload that video very soon. So because really I'm just only power scaling Saitama. So whatever scale you basically put Saitama to, this guy will basically one shot them. All right, anybody. And the reason why he wouldn't do this with All Might is, well, like it can literally, All Might can like literally increase his strength, right? At whatever he basically stretch his physical capabilities to. So let's just say he's finally stretched his strength at um a planetary scale, okay? He always does a little bit more training just in case somebody overpowers him. So when he fights Santama at the round and Santama one shots him, like that infinite amount of power that he has, that All Might has, right? That he pretty much stretched to. So he'll probably be 2 inches above Santama, and like he'll pretty much take Santama out with one punch, and Santama's gonna literally feel that punch. Okay, like seriously, because like if you're stronger, even if you're 2 inches stronger than Santama, he's not gonna beat you. Okay, being 2 inches stronger than Santama, he's not gonna beat you. Just like back to Goku, Goku would literally, if Goku was literally a human, right? When it comes to martial arts, he would literally give Batman a run for his money. It doesn't matter how tactical Batman literally is. You know, like he'll basically be deemed as a good fighter to Goku, but in different forms of martial arts, when it comes to hand-to-hand combat, like, I'm sorry, he will come close to like giving Goku a run for his money, but Goku would literally be reading everything Batman does, except if he uses the smoke grenade. He can literally, like, I mean, Goku's just too OP when it comes to martial arts. Only time you could beat him is if you pretty much overpower him. But we already got the true scales of Saitama and All Might, so we know now that whatever power, whatever tier or high tier you literally put, you can even put him, Saitama, near Pennywise's scale. Pennywise's true form, then that means anybody that's equal to him, he'll literally one shot him. If you put Pennywise or Santama next to Gan, he will literally one shot Gan, because the whole concept of his character is to one shot people that are equal to him or especially less stronger than he is. But there's no way he will beat anybody that's stronger than he is. So, as shown, Santama is the strongest one in this universe because apparently he is, kind of, he's at a crater level, punching giant craters and planets. Burros was clearly the same thing. And, it wasn't even enough for Santama, so Santama just one shot him. Just like that giant Titanic dude. He can put craters in planets, but it doesn't mean he was like beneath city. Like I believe that this guy was beneath city level, while, you know, Santama was at a whole continent. Saitama is equal to destroying an entire continent, and Boros was equal to him destroying an entire continent. So, in that way, well, yeah. So that guy probably destroy a whole country, but you got Saitama that can literally destroy an entire country, well, continent. You know, he could literally destroy an entire continent with one punch. And Boros could pretty much do the same thing. So Boros was equal to him, and he literally one-shotted Boros. Okay? So, you guys have any questions, comments about this explanation of these guys' powers? Hit us up below. Mr. Evaluator, out.